All right, welcome to the daily market recap for Wednesday, August 6th. In this video, like all daily recaps, we'll take a look at the action of the indexes, liquid leaders, industry ETFs, then end the video with long and short setups going into tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to hear my trading thoughts throughout the market day, along with a live stream at the market open, sign up for the Discord using the link below. All right, jumping into it, NASDAQ, QQQ, great action today. Slight gap up after the reversal yesterday. Rallied basically the entire day, closed right on the highs, up 1.26%. Also, more importantly for me, we closed over the gap down zone that we had from Thursday into Friday's sell-off. So overall, just a great response to the Thursday and then Friday distribution days in the market. We've bounced back. This could still be putting in a lower high overall, but the way that the leading stocks have acted, like we'll cover in a bit, and a lot of the earnings reactions tell me that this was a good shakeout. Now we're looking for a higher low pullback, and then we can get going from there. The S&P 500, similar action, closed over all the key moving averages again, and the resistance gap with a small gap right at that 20-day moving average. Pullback into the 20-day and today's low would be a great test for the market to see if buyers step in or if this is a lower high. Yesterday, we had rotation from mega cap stocks into small cap, and we kind of measured that using IWO, which is the growth stocks of the Russell 2000. Great relative strength yesterday, being up 0.4%, while the indexes were down like 0.7 and 0.5%. Today, a little bit of rotation back into mega caps with Apple acting super well, Tesla catching a bid, Nvidia being up. And today, even though this was only down, like this was down 0.3%, slight gap down, but held the 20-day, held the 5 and the 10-day moving averages on a closing basis. Now we're looking if we can take out today's gap down zone as quickly as possible. But overall, I like the action of the market. And ARKK up 2% today, closed right on the high of the day at that 10-day moving average. Let's see if we can push through that level, get this resistance gap closed as soon as possible, then come back for a higher low. And then IBIT tracking Bitcoin here. Really like the action here. We have basically a 4-day pivot through today's highs and that 10-day moving average. You got the 20 and the 5 right around that price as well. So a little shakeout, consolidation. Now, can we break to the upside? That would be ideal here. Taking a look at the liquid leaders next. Palantir, awesome action again. Gap down a little bit at the open, but open on the low, closed right near the high of the day, constant bid throughout the day, and really a monster stock to go back and study. One of the best stocks in this cycle. MP down 1.3% today, higher highs, higher lows, but this is up after hours about 7%. So continues to act extremely well. Now we get another potentially gap and go tomorrow. Robinhood, I continue to say that this, I think, is the liquid leader of the market. Awesome, awesome action the last couple of days. Today, quick sell off in the morning, bounced at the 20-day moving average, closed right at the high of the day, back over the 5 and the 10-day moving averages. Through this 107 area is a buy point for me. Roblox, I keep saying, like, if you just cover up that earnings candle right here, this is a really clean looking chart still. Today, awesome action, opened on the low of the day, closed right near the high of the day as we eat into that resistance gap from the second day of earnings. Ending the day at 5.6% and continues to act just extremely well. Got very extended in the short term on that earnings gap up. So 2 days of selling off makes complete sense there. Overall, hasn't changed the trend, hasn't changed the appetite of institutional investors trying to soak up shares. So overall, great action. GEV continues to be one of the leaders in AI energy space. Still watching the pullback to the support gap and the high volume close from earnings right around 627 as a potential entry point on that one. Nvidia, good action today and great news after hours where they're skirting the Trump tariffs. Opened on the low, closed near the high, back over the 5-day moving average. We'll see if we ever pull into this gap zone or the 20-day moving average and support gap would be a really nice spot to watch. Rocket Lab reports earnings tomorrow after the close. So, of course, it has to look like the most beautiful chart in the world going into that event. Unfortunately, because of earnings, I won't trade it, um, even if it goes through the day's high. But this is just a beautiful consolidation going into earnings. Reddit continues to act like a monster, up 7% today, open on the low, close on the high. This is the type of action that you want to see out of your market leaders. And basically, down the list, everything is acting really well. And speaking of really well, DoorDash up 1% today, up another 7 or 8% after hours, and breaking into new all-time highs. I guess it was technically there, but just kind of hovering around those previous highs with the gap up. Let's take a look. What price are we at? Ended after hours at 280. So blue skies ahead for DoorDash. Awesome, awesome price action. Taking a look at some of the industry ETFs, gold miners, GDX continues to act well on the third day of this breakout as we continue to march into all-time highs. Nuclear energy, NLR, uppercut and fail of the resistance gap here. Closed weaker in the daily range, but still positive. KWEB, Chinese Internet ETF. I really think the more I look at this chart, is just a check back, like a breakout retest. And now we have a nice island gap that probably shook a lot of people out on this move. Then we gap up on Monday, just higher highs, higher lows the next couple of days, and keep going back to this 2.5 year base here, or 3.5 year base, whatever it is. Yeah, 23, 24, 25, 3.5 year base. Really could get going here if we see money rotate. We got the good news that China can buy semiconductors from Nvidia. Quick little shakeout from that, and now we'll see if it's ready to get going. Speaking of which, semiconductors down 0.2% today, just under the 20-day moving average, but closed well in the daily range. The other group that I wanted to talk about, biotechs. Well, actually, let me go. XLE Energy ETF continues to show just relative weakness in the market. So if you're trying to buy like oil and that type of energy, it's not really working. We're under all the key moving averages and starting to accelerate to the downside. XBI Biotech ETF, I keep a couple of alerts at this 200-day moving average. I think once we clear that, this can have a really nice move higher. Right now, we're just chopping into the support gap zone, letting that 50-day moving average to catch up. XLV healthcare sector continues to just act horrible. It's almost at new lows at this point, and a bunch of components of that group is extremely weak. Think that was all the ones that I wanted to cover from the industry ETF, so we could go into the long setups. And I had a tough time narrowing this down. I started with like 20 long setups and just narrowed it down, but this is what you want to see. You want to see a shakeout that we got Thursday, Friday, a bounce back, some pullback yesterday, strong day today. As we go through that volatility, we're starting to see the leaders continuing to act well, and that'll give us good risk reward spots on those names. So Robinhood, we already kind of covered. Just looking at the pivot at 107 as a potential entry through yesterday's high. Even if this takes a couple more days or even a couple more weeks trading sideways, letting that 50-day moving average catch up, I think Robinhood's a name that you have to have on your radar, and it's worth trying to get in there. GEV, just looking at that support gap below the 10-day moving average as a potential entry point. SoFi, perfect entry point today. Undercut and reclaim of the low of the support gap right at 201, 2102, and that 20-day moving average. Another test of that area is buyable versus the low from earlier this week. APP, this is gapping down on earnings about 5.2%, which puts us, let's check the map, 370 right into the support gap zone. If we gap down and kind of have a morning sell off and undercut the support gap here, I still think that I don't know. It's one of those names like BE where it gaps down on bad news and we could see a quick opening range break and just shares get accumulated throughout the day. HIMS did that too, and then eventually did roll over. But a lot of these like kind of bad earnings reactions, they can find a bid right at the open, and that's one that I'm looking for with APP. Carvana, this is probably, I would say, my one of my main focuses tomorrow, along with Robinhood. because we've just made new highs. Since then, we've pulled back for 4 days. Definitely got extended in the short term. Pulled back for 4 days, sitting on the 20-day moving average. Inside candle today, just looking for a breakthrough today's high as potential entry. Stop would be today's low and the 20-day moving average. ALAB, awesome move today on earnings, finishing up 28% and into new all-time highs. Whenever an IPO makes new all-time highs, it's something that you want to keep on your radar. What I would love to see is a little gap up, test of the HVC area, and then U-turn there. Bible right around the HVC, stop 2 to 3% on that one. DoorDash, this could be an opening range break. Just like I said with ALAB, when an IPO stock, and I know this is kind of a matured IPO, but whenever a stock breaks into all-time highs, it's something to keep an eye out for. So that's Dash. AVAV, this was buyable today on the undercut and reclaim of the support gap below the 20-day moving average. That's probably your best risk reward. If we can kind of like pull back into there again. Otherwise, through the 10-day moving average, through today's high is buyable with a stop at today's low. AS, this stock has frustrated me a lot, but it's setting up again. It's kind of like Toast. Where we it's more better to buy on a pullback, but it does have this nice pivot right at like 39.15. So we'll watch. This is more of one of those setups where I'll use it as a test for the market to see if we still have more momentum, if quality setups are breaking to the upside. But yeah, through today's high is viable. Stop would be today's low. ZDS, we talked about KWEB in China as a theme. I think this is one of the stocks to keep on your radar. We had a nice kind of double bottom base or double bottom pullback, whatever you want to call it. Not quite a base, but shook out everyone, then rallied, shook those people out with the undercut on Friday, but then immediately reclaimed the 20-day, the 5, and then the 10 today. We had a nice tight close today on very, very little volume. Just looking for a breakthrough today's high. Stop would be just under the 20-day moving average on this one. AMSC, I think this might be another market leader. It's already made a massive move from $14 up to $56, but it's consolidating really well, letting that 5-day moving average catch up. You can see really tight trading bars on closing basis versus their open. When you have that over the 5-day EMA, it's usually a really good sign that this isn't just getting sold off into. So I would take this on a break through the HVC. Maybe through today's high is like your initial entry point. You put a couple shares on there, and then as we confirm through the HVC, you fill out the rest of the position. My stop would be the 5-day moving average on that. And then COUR, I got stopped out of this yesterday when I tried it. Today, a little bit different story. Got through the HVC. That was the entry point. Closed relatively well. Now we're just looking for a pullback into the HVC, into the 5-day moving average as an add spot for myself or a buy spot if you don't have a position already. Stop would be the low of this gap zone at like 12.15. Yeah, right around 12.15. On the short side, taking a look at Amazon, great action today, but we're still just kind of like bouncing into this resistance gap. I want to see an uppercut and failure of the 20-day moving average, and then a loss of the daily view app as a short entry. Stop would be the high of the day. Overall, this was massive volume on the way down. Now we're bouncing on much, much weaker volume, and we'll see if that's gives us a good risk reward spot. JOBY had earnings after the market closed today, down 2.7% after hours. A stock that's made a move from 5 up to $20, kind of stalled a little bit going into earnings. Now we get a gap down, and where are we? 1843. So kind of right on, right above this gap zone here. I would just be taking this on an opening range break. Tried for like a flush. We saw it with Upstart. We saw it with Dave today. Let's just check those out. So Upstart gap down on earnings and then flushed horribly. Dave did the same thing, gap down and then flushed. So looking for that type of action on a speculative name that I don't quite see being a true market leader. VERB, this had a good day on Monday, kind of tight trading day yesterday, and then uppercut and failed at that HVC and the resistance gap today, as I mark my charts a little bit. But if you zoom out, this is a name that just like does a reverse split, does a reverse split, falls to zero, does it again. Like split adjusted, this was trading at $19,000 and now it's a $20 stock. And that just shows you the type of company it is. And you just get a speculative move up. Now we're just looking for a break under today's low as our short entry. The stop would be the HVC. CVM continue to just kind of stalk this. I've got a couple shares short already, looking to add through it through today's low, and then the stop would be yesterday's high on that one. CEP, if you watch this stream or the daily recaps, you know this is a stock that I've liked to short in the past. Continues to see volatile action, uppercut and failed at the 20-day moving average and the resistance gap yesterday. Really tight trading action today on a really strong day in the market overall. So looking for follow through to the downside through today's low as a short, and then really just seeing if this can collapse down into this like empty zone here. ZRRR, I don't know if that's actually, let me just take that off. I did not see that they had earnings coming up. HIT, similar type of speculative name, very thin, so probably not a trade for a lot of people. I would be position sizing way down on this, but as kind of a performance booster through today's low, after stalling at the 5-day moving average is a potential short. If you get a gap up though, I would not try to short that. Anytime you get low volume closes over the 5-day on a speculative name that's in an uptrend, you can get some big ignite bars to the upside. So if you like to play these names more to the upside, watch for a gap up, opening range break, stop would be today's low. AGH, really good action today. If you wanted to short, little uppercut of the previous high, then close lower in the range. This is one that we're looking for follow through either with a gap down, which right now it's down 3.2% after hours, gap down opening range break, and then the stop would be like today's close, or just like a little gap up, loss of VWAP as a potential short there. And finally, IONQ, they reported after the market closed, they're down 5%. So that puts us at 39.20. So a little bit in no man's land. But this is another one of those speculative names that it really looked like it was about to break out of this kind of VCP pattern after a monster uptrend. But now maybe this kind of starts to break down. We've had a couple lower highs, gapped up and sold off the rest of the day today, and now we're gapping down after hours. Maybe this is the end of this speculation here. So that's going to be the daily market recap for Wednesday, August 6th. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Take care.